Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to Story Hour at Book and Puppet Company here on beautiful Center Square in Easton, Pennsylvania. Today, in honor of Asian American Pacific Islander Month, we're going to be reading another book about the Asian experience for kids. And this one's called Nadia's Hands. And it shows a picture of somebody's hands. And there is something different about the hands. I mean, my hands don't. It's because, look what's on the hands. There's leaves and paintings of a sun, and there's all kinds of paintings on these hands. And on the back you can see that this girl has the painted hands, and it looks like a grandpa is looking. So this book is called Nadia Hands by Karen English, with pictures by Jonathan Weiner, and here's the hands too. Nadia's hands. Would you like to have these pictures on your hands? Okay, here comes the story. Nadia's hands. For Auntie Laila's wedding, the aunts decided that it was Nadia's turn to be flower girl. One cousin who'd been flower girl for the last wedding said, "I forgot," and sprinkled rose petals down just one side of the aisle. Don't make that mistake. Another cousin who had been flower girl for Auntie Saleha's wedding told her, "Oh, I ate too many kebabs the night before and got sick and had to run to the bathroom right in the middle of walking down the aisle. Take my advice, stay away from kebabs. Be careful of frozen feet," another cousin added. She had also been a flower girl once. "I got stage fright just as I was about to walk down the aisle. My feet froze." So many things to remember. You think Nadia can be a flower girl? There's a lot of things that could go wrong when you're a flower girl. She looked kind of worried. "You know what, Nadia?" Auntie Laila said. She lowered her voice and put her lips close to Nadia's ear. "I have a feeling you're going to be a very good flower girl." Nadia smiled, relieved. "I have a special surprise," Auntie Laila added. Nadia waited. "Auntie Amina's coming Saturday to put the mehndi on your hands." Auntie Laila's eyes danced and sparkled. "Just you wait." Nadia's smile made her face feel stiff. She didn't want the mehndi. It would make her hands orange. It wouldn't wash off. And she didn't want to go to school like that on Monday. She was worried. Ooh, what is the mehndi? Do you know what the mehndi is? But on Saturday, Nadia forgot her worry and woke up filled with anticipation. The aunties came one by one to help with the wedding preparations. One brought the silky peach-colored shalwar and kameez Nadia would wear for her duties as flower girl. Another brought tiny gold earrings. Another came to curl Nadia's hair. Finally, in came Auntie Amina with her bag of mehndi. "Nadia, you go play while Auntie gets everything ready," Mommy told her. "What is this mehndi stuff? What is that about the mehndi?" Auntie took from her bag, the mixing bowl, the spatula, and the thin wooden stick that looked like a sculptor's tool. She looked over at Nadia. "I'll call you when it's ready, Nadia. It has to sit a while." At last, Auntie called Nadia to the kitchen. "Sit," she said. Nadia sat. "Hold out your hands." Nadia held out her hands, and Auntie Amina smeared the mehndi all over Nadia's palms. It was cold and pasty and had a funny smell. The mehdi's like some kind of paint or something. Look, Auntie Amina's like doing some kind of painting on her hands. Auntie said mysteriously. With her wooden stick, she began to draw the intricate designs that all the aunties loved. While she did this delicate work, she sang softly to herself a song in Urdu, one that Nadia had heard many times before. Nadia did not budge. She almost did not breathe. When Auntie was done, Mommy and the other aunts oohed and ahed at the swirls and the flowers and the stars on Nadia's hands. Can you make an ooh and an ah? Ooh. Ah. That's what the mehndi was. Then Auntie Amina drew a small gold ring out of her pocket and smiled a sly smile. "Look what I brought for you when your hands are ready." "Thank you," Nadia said, and quickly turned to Mommy. "How long do I have to sit here?" "For a while." "What's a while?" "Be patient, Nadia. Remember sabr, patience." Nadia watched Mommy and the aunts walk out of the room to gaze at the wedding dress again. Nadia sat and sat. She sat watching the door, wishing someone would come back through it. She sat watching out the window, wishing there was something interesting to see. Finally, she sat watching the big kitchen clock over the stove. Tick, tick, tick. Did you ever have to sit like that for a really long time? She looks really bored. Maybe we should just sit here for a while and just wait to turn the page. Let's just sit here. We're sitting here for a while waiting to turn this page. Tick, tick, tick. Did you want to turn the page? Okay, you turn the page. Beep. Uncle Omar came by with a flower delivery. He stopped in the kitchen where Nadia sat, palms up, very still. "Ah, mehndi," he said, and nodded approvingly. Oh, I guess that's Uncle Omar. Uncle Abdul Rahim came next. He stopped by the kitchen to peek in the simmering pots on the stove, part of the wedding feast. "Ah, Nadia," he said, turning around. "You were so quiet and still, I didn't know you were there." "I'm showing everyone I have sabr," she said. Oh, I guess this is Uncle Abdul Rahim, not Uncle Omar. This must be Uncle Abdul Rahim because he's the one that talked to Nadia. "I'm showing everyone I have sabr," she said. That means patience. That made Uncle laugh. He went over to her and gazed down at her upraised palms. "Oh, you got your hands done for the wedding. That's nice," he said. "Yes, Uncle." But really, she didn't feel it was so nice. She just has to sit around. It's a really long time she has to sit. Should we just sit around for a while longer? Let's just sit here. What? Oh, you want to turn the page? Okay. After a while, a long while, Auntie Amina came and rinsed off the mehndi. Nadia looked down. She had amber hands with deep orange flowers and swirls and stars. Her hands did not look like her hands. They looked as if they belonged to someone else. She didn't want these hands that didn't look like her hands. Auntie slipped the ring on her finger, and Nadia rubbed its smooth, shiny surface with her thumb. Do you see the ring? That's a really fancy gold ring. Oh no, what's she gonna do? She doesn't like it. It doesn't feel like her hands. Maybe she should just go to the sink and wash it off with soap. Do you think she should just wash it off? Oh, all right. You want to turn the page? Yep. Now it was time for the wedding. Nadia stood at the beginning of the long red carpeted aisle. Everyone in the banquet hall looked back at her. She moved one foot. It wasn't frozen. And except for the flutter of butterflies, her stomach felt fine. She scooped up a handful of petals from her basket, remembering to toss them first on one side and then on the other. She saw a sea of eyes following her. Her feet stayed with the beat in her head. It wasn't so hard. She almost glided down the aisle as she let go of her showers of petals. She didn't have frozen feet. But then the bright amber stone in her ring caught the glittering light, and Nadia noticed her hands for the first time, it seemed. The swirls and tiny flowers and stars, the bright amber color, the deep orange fingertips. Her heart began to pound at the sight of those hands that she'd have to take to school on Monday. Those hands that looked as if they belonged to someone else. She lost the rhythm then and brought her foot down so fast that she nearly stumbled. She felt her face grow hot and imagined it red as a pomegranate. She looked over at the cousins. One was giving her a flat, heavy-lidded look. A tiny smile was starting on another one's lips as if she were getting ready to laugh. Behind her hand, the third leaned over and said something to the other two. Then all three turned back to watch Nadia. Their eyes, three pairs of scrutinizing slits with smirks hidden behind their small, solemn expressions. Remember, those cousins warned her about the things that they did wrong when they did it. Nadia's breath came fast. Can you make your breath come fast? She plucked a few petals and cast them limply. Then her eyes met Grandma's. Grandma's eyes were filled with tears, but her mouth had a happy smile. She looked at Mommy and Daddy next. Their smiles were full of tenderness, and the aunts and the uncles' smiles were full of affection. Her feet found the rhythm, and she went on, one foot in front of the other, forgetting her hands as she dipped into the basket and sprinkled the flower petals first on one side, then on the other. Let's do it. First on one side, then on the other. First on one side, then on the other. All the way to the end of the aisle. After the ceremony, one by one, the aunts came over to admire Nadia's hands and have her twirl around to show off her curls. The uncles came over to lift her chin and smile down at her. Grandma came over and lifted one hand, then the other. You know what, Nadia, she whispered, when I look at your hands, it's as if I'm looking at my past and future at the same time. Did you know that? No, Grandma, Nadia said. What she knew was that her hands made Grandma happy, and Mommy, and Daddy, and the aunts and uncles. So they made her happy too. She thought about Monday at school. Maybe she could show her hands during sharing time. Linda Murakami came with her grandmother's kimono once, and Rashid shared the kente cloth his mother brought back from her trip to Africa. She would share her hands from Pakistan. Nadia looked down at her hands. She turned them this way and that. Her hands didn't look as if they belonged to someone else, she decided. They looked as if they belonged to her. Do her hands belong to her? Yes, I think they do. Would you like to have mehndi hands? That would be so great. You could have some. Why not? And that was Nadia's Hands by Karen English, illustrated by Jonathan Wiener. And thank you so much for coming for our story hour. See you next time. Bye.